Have you ever really stopped to think about just how different our lives are, health-wise, compared to our great-grandparents? It's honestly one of the biggest but most invisible revolutions in human history. We're talking about a total transformation in how we live, and, maybe more importantly, how long we get to live. So let's dive into this incredible story.
Okay, to really get a feel for the scale of this change, let's start with a pretty shocking number. Back around the year 1900, a full quarter of all deaths, 25%, were caused by infectious diseases. Just think about that. 1 out of every 4 people was dying from germs they couldn't see and had almost no defense against.
Now, let's jump forward just 90 years to 1990. That number, it didn't just drop, it plummeted from 25% all the way down to less than 1%. And that wasn't just a fluke or some kind of miracle. It was the result of a deliberate, relentless, and multi-front war on disease. So how on earth did we pull that off?
Well, in this explainer, we're going to walk through that century of change. We'll look at how we fought those invisible killers, the huge battle to clean up our environment, how we started tackling risks from our own lifestyles, the high-tech war on cancer, and then we'll finish up by asking, what's the next big challenge on the horizon?
Right, so this massive leap forward didn't just happen. It happened because governments all over the world decided, you know what, we need to take responsibility for our citizens' health in a way we've never done before. But why then? What was the big shift?
It really came down to 2 things. First, science gave us a much deeper understanding of what actually causes disease. We're talking about germ theory, finally figuring out the role of bacteria and viruses. And second, once you know the cause, you can start developing proven ways to prevent it. All of a sudden, governments had a roadmap and the tools to make a real lasting difference.
Okay, so the first major enemy in this war was the invisible one. Contagious diseases that would just sweep through communities, hitting kids the hardest. And this is where one of the most powerful public health tools ever invented was rolled out on a massive scale: vaccination.
And you can see just how systematic this was. It wasn't random. Starting in the 40s, national campaigns were launched one after another. Diphtheria in 42, then polio and whooping cough in 50, tetanus, measles, rubella. This was an organized, strategic effort to build a protective shield around the entire population, one disease at a time.
And the way they got the message out was incredibly direct. This wasn't some gentle suggestion. I mean, look at this government poster from 1943. Diphtheria costs lives. Immunization costs nothing. It's simple, it's powerful, and it frames the choice for parents as literally a matter of life and death.
But it wasn't just germs inside our bodies that were the problem. The next big battle was against the very air people were breathing. In the big industrial cities of the mid-20th century, pollution wasn't just ugly, it was a killer.
And to get a real picture of what this was like, just listen to this first-hand account from someone who lived through London's Great Smog. She said the smoke was so thick, it made our eyes well, and the neck didn't help our breathing at all. I mean, this wasn't just fog, it was a toxic soup.
So how do you fight the air itself? Well, you change the rules. The government responded directly to disasters like the Great Smog by passing landmark laws, the Clean Air Acts. These laws were designed to force factories and homes to cut down on pollution. It was proof that government action could literally clear the air. Now, as those old threats, the germs, the smog, started to fade, new ones came into focus. These were diseases linked not just to our surroundings, but to our personal choices. What we eat, if we smoke, how we live our lives. Tackling this stuff required a whole new game plan. On one side, you have the science, figuring out and mapping the precise health risks of things like smoking or a poor diet. And on the other side, you have the public response, campaigns designed to take that science and turn it into simple, clear advice for everyone, like cutting down on sugar. And the strategy here was basically a 2-pronged attack. First, you had force, using laws to make change happen, like banning smoking in all workplaces. You just couldn't do it anymore. But the second part was persuasion, using communication, advertising, and public information campaigns to convince people to change their habits for their own good. And there is no better example of this combo of prevention and cutting-edge technology than in the fight against lung cancer, which was one of the biggest killers of the 20th century.
The first step in fighting any disease is actually being able to see it. For a long time, diagnosing something like lung cancer relied on a simple X-ray, which, honestly, wasn't always that accurate. But all of that was about to change in a big way.
Enter the CT scan. The easiest way to think of it is like a superpowered 3D X-ray.
It's been around since the 70s, and it allows doctors to see inside the body with incredible detail, making it possible to spot tumors and other weird growths way earlier and more accurately than ever before. And right alongside CT scans, we got MRI scans. Now, instead of X-rays, these use powerful magnets and radio waves. And what makes MRIs so special is their amazing ability to create super clear images of soft tissues, muscles, organs, ligaments, stuff that traditional X-rays just can't see very well.
And once a cancer was found, technology completely revolutionized how we treated it. With radiotherapy, you could use focused beams of high-energy radiation to shrink tumors. With chemotherapy, you could use a cocktail of powerful drugs to hunt down and kill cancer cells anywhere in the body. And with keyhole surgery, doctors could operate with tiny incisions, which meant recovery times got way shorter.
This diagram really shows just how big our modern medical arsenal has become. You can see how prevention, like anti-smoking policies, is the foundation of everything. But then you see all the high-tech tools built on top of that, radiotherapy, chemotherapy, and even a look into the future with genetic research and transplants. It's a perfect marriage of public policy and advanced technology.
But here is the absolute key takeaway. While all this amazing technology was being developed to treat the disease, government policy was working to prevent it from ever happening. Things like banning tobacco ads, jacking up the taxes on cigarettes, and raising the legal smoking age, all of it was designed to cut off lung cancer at its primary source.
So, we've come a long way, right? From fighting germs with simple vaccines, to cleaning our air with laws, and tackling our own lifestyle choices with this mix of force and persuasion, all while creating these incredible new medical technologies.
And the main thing to remember is this: the extra decades of life and health that most of us get to enjoy today are not an accident. They are the direct result of a powerful partnership. A partnership between science, government, and technology all working together.
But of course, the work is never truly done. We've won these incredible battles against germs, smog, and smoking, but new threats are already here. Things like antibiotic-resistant superbugs, you've probably heard of MRSA. So the question we want to leave you with is this. Looking at everything we've learned over the last 100 years, how do we need to adapt our strategy to protect ourselves for the next 100?